Happy Friday, North Texas. I'm Scott. Today is Friday, January 16th, and I am so happy to be back in the podcast factory for the new year. I hope you all had a fantastic holiday season, enjoyed that Mean Green Bowl game win, and are having a great 2026 so far. Here on the pod, we're kicking off the new year with a great interview about how financial aid helps so many UNT students achieve their dreams. But before we get to that, let's welcome back Zach Babb for the first Mean Green Minute of 2026.
Mean Green women's basketball is now 10-7 on the season and 4-1 in conference play as they ran their win streak to 3 games with a 75-64 victory over Memphis this past Tuesday. The Mean Green had 4 players scoring in double figures in the win, led by a 17-point, 11-rebound double-double from Megan Nestor. North Texas now gets ready to face off against Rice at the Super Pit on Saturday. That game gets going at 2 p.m. And men's basketball fell to Wichita State to move to 1-3 in conference play this past Sunday with a 78-67 loss up in Wichita. Their next game is on the road at Tulane this coming Sunday in New Orleans. Tip-off is set for 4 p.m.
Thanks for that update, Zach. You can get more UNT Athletics updates from Zach by checking out his other podcasts, GMG Cast and This Week in Mean Green Sports. This being our first episode of the new year had me thinking about New Year's resolutions. Lots of people make resolutions around health and fitness, or maybe you want to learn a new skill in 2026, but January is also a time when a lot of people focus on financial goals. For UNT students, paying for their education is a big financial goal, and one of the best ways to achieve that goal is by working with financial aid. I sat down with Associate Vice President for Financial Aid and Scholarships Beth Tolan to learn more about the financial aid opportunities available to UNT students.
All right, Beth. So let's start with just having you kind of briefly introduce yourself to our listeners today.
Sure, thank you. My name is Beth Tolan. I'm the Associate Vice President over the area of Financial Aid and Scholarships here at UNT. I've been with UNT 5 years as of July 1st. And I've worked in higher education about 30 years, and I am not counting my time as a student worker, so 30 years of my career.
Very nice. What's your favorite thing about working in financial aid and scholarships? I imagine it's got to be pretty fulfilling.
Well, it's a dangerous question because I can talk a lot about financial aid, but I think the best way to describe that is I've actually worked in a few areas of higher education,
Mhm.
and I've enjoyed every position. Each position I learned more about other areas, and it really helped me, I think, get better at what I do. But financial aid has always been my favorite. And I'm not just saying that. I actually returned to financial aid about 17 years ago. And I would say, I think the number one thing that I like the most about financial aid is the significant impact, the positive impact that financial aid can have for students from everything from the financial aid that we offer, but also the guidance that we provide them as they from prospective student to a continuing student to our alumni. So I think that's the number one thing. And then kind of secondary to that is financial aid is actually, it's really complex. So in addition to the awarding of aid that most of the public would see is your financial aid offices, they have to meet a lot of federal and state criteria, and it's critical that they maintain all of compliance to all of those programs because it impacts our funding. And so I really enjoy taking that complexity and figuring out how can we streamline that into an effective process and practices that result in, ideally, our students and our public not even thinking about it, where you have your financial aid awards in a timely manner. We're able to give clear and hopefully helpful advisement and counseling. And then on the back end, also an increase in our federal and state funding.
So with the impact financial aid can have, what's something you want more students to know about or know to do to make the most of financial aid?
Well, for new students, and this might surprise new students, is from a financial aid perspective, I recommend applying for admission as soon as possible and make sure you are turning in all of your transcripts. And the reason I say that is from the financial aid perspective, a lot of what we do cannot begin, or the majority actually of what we do cannot begin until a student has been admitted. And then there's also details on those transcripts that are, if not required for admissions, and most all of them are, we actually need for our aid assessment. So that would be number one. If you're a new student, whether it be a freshman, transfer, graduate student, just get your application in as soon as possible. Make sure you've turned in all of your transcripts. And then for all of our students, whether that be a new student or a continuing student, submit your FAFSA early. And what we mean by that is probably earlier than most people would think. The FAFSA actually opens October 1st before the upcoming fall. And then the priority deadline that we post is January 15th. And what a priority deadline means is that's the deadline that you would need to meet, whether you're new to the school or it's your second or last year, in order to be considered for all forms of aid. So the best thing you can possibly do annually is meet that deadline. But then the personal guidance that I give when I'm talking to people is January 15th is not a great time of year for anyone who's a student, because you're very busy with the start of spring classes. There's a lot going on. And so what I recommend as a rule of thumb is try to get all of your financial aid applications done for the next year during your Thanksgiving break. And if you happen to miss that mark, do it during the winter break. And then that way you'll be sure to meet those deadlines. And then one more thing is for anyone who's a freshman applying for college this fall 2026, or if you know anyone who is a freshman or has a freshman that's applying for college, UNT has launched a new program called North Texas Promise Program. And so this is for our incoming freshmen this fall 26. And it's for Texas residents who are graduating from a Texas high school, who have a total family income of $100,000 or less, and meet other criteria as either federal Pell eligible or in the top 25% of their class. And so what that program will do is students who meet the criteria of the program will have the full cost of tuition and fees covered in a combination of grant funding and scholarship funding for up to 4 years towards their degree.
Wow, it sounds like that could really help a lot of students.
Yeah, absolutely. We are expecting to have at least 3,500 eligible and enroll this fall.
Wow, that is a lot. So if those students or anybody who knows students who might qualify want to learn more about the North Texas Promise Program or financial aid in general, what's a good way for them to get more information?
So the financial aid office, we keep a lot of information on our website. It's intended to be a resource. And so I believe we're sharing the link to our website, but the general one is financialaid.unt.edu. And so that's our main financial aid website. And we have in the menu types of financial aid, types of aid. If you click on that, you'll see that North Texas Promise is listed, but you'll also see links to things like scholarships, grants, other types of aid. And so that's a great source of information. And also you'll see on our website, we also have a contact us page where you can ask us a question online, or you can email us, or if you're interested in coming in person or calling, there's information about how to reach us.
Great. We'll be sure to include links in the show notes so listeners can go get more information on that. Thank you so much for joining us, Beth. I appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.
So great to chat with Beth and learn more about the North Texas Promise Program. That's going to help so many UNT students reach their full potential. Be sure to check the show notes for links to learn more. Quick programming note, I've got a bit of vacation time scheduled with the fam next week, so we'll be off next Friday, but back to our weekly schedule starting January 30th. I want to go out with a friendly reminder that you can always get in touch by emailing podcast@unt.edu or calling 940-565-4341. And don't forget to help us grow the show by telling a friend about the podcast, sharing it on social media, or leaving us a 5-star rating and review wherever you listen. Until next time, we hope you have a happy Friday, North Texas, and go Mean Green. Happy Friday, North Texas is a production of the University of North Texas. Today's show was produced and edited by Scott Brown with original reporting by Scott Brown. For more information, visit unt.edu/podcast.